The bus is flying over. We are all buckled in, strapped in for game 2 of day 2 of Heat 1. This is going to be exciting to see because I just feel like there's so many trios are shocking the system right now with their epic plays and their clutch moments and their pop-offs. And now we're going to see a very different in-game going down to the Southwest region and taking a look at the heat map that we've been provided by Prodigy Analytics. A lot of action happens down there, considering a lot of trios who are on the bottom of the board are trying to scrounge any kind of Elim points to get up that leaderboard. Again, I am Sancho West, alongside my partner, my co-pilot, Sundown. And what do you think, Sundown, after game 1?
Well, I think the big thing we've seen is that some of the teams from yesterday who were consistent performers off of the start are off to already a good performance. Flick, Anas, and Thomas able to still get a couple of points and not completely out of it, but faltered a little bit. However, you can see Vadil definitely storming his way up the leaderboard a little bit more, in addition to the fact that Zaini Kaspersa and his trio partner Fixie were able to kind of actually get themselves established again. While they only have 18 eliminations so far over the first 7 games, this is game 8 out of 12 total. Their placement points are still enough to get them up in the 6, but right now we're on board here with 200, 200, 200, M10, W Key, and Styler now 200, 200, 200, and W Key are Ensar and Maestro, and those two players have done so well so far. You can see they're on kind of, again, one of those southwestern routes here, a little bit of a fishing and a little bit of a split, trying to make sure you get enough shields because, again, as we've talked about in this Holly Hedge route, sometimes you're not necessarily leaving with all of the shields. Fishing can really, really, really help that. It helps with the shield fish that are coming through as well as those slurp fish. So being able to pull either one of those and kind of dedicating a player to kind of go over and hitting those fishing ponds is a really valuable strategy.
And someone that's been really valuable to the trio is Vadil. Vadil with an unbelievable performance in day 1. We saw that crazy stat line of him having a 60% success rate against Mongrel in the solos invitational and the solos FNCS. And right now on the cumulative leaderboard, he's sitting, taking a look here, in 2nd place with Fast Roki and Kyle. And you know, I wanted to pick this team. I got a lot of flack from the broadcast booth from our analysts Shayo and Reese saying trios don't do well coming out of Steamy Stack historically, but here they are, Sundown. They're doing really well, sitting in 2nd place, and they racked up so many points from elims and came in 5th place, as my boy Zeke pointed out. It looks like they are developing some championships out of Steamy Stacks in the EU region.
And you can see Vadil in particular, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and then we ended up flying the stat where he ended up beating Mongrel 65% of the time in the solo invitational and the solo FNCS. And to be able to go not above 50-50 with a player like Mongrel on a consistent basis, and then we saw him put him in an absolute blender. But Kylie recently being signed here to Centric Gaming, Dion Waiter's organization, coming through there and kind of getting into the scene, involved with 3 European players, but right now trying to prioritize positioning over the rift because they know this is key. They know there's another trio here, and they want to be able to disengage if necessary.
And that is the power of the Steamy Stacks. Vidil Fasroki were essentially chilling so far away. They hit that Steamy Stack and boom, they're right here ready to go. And looks like the chase is on the high-speed pursuits. Now we're going to go to someone else that needs to definitely pick up the speed. As you hear Sammy here definitely setting up some sort of an ambush play. And this is where the safe zone is. And we have our first appearance of a Quinjet.
And the Quinjets being incredibly valuable. Those Stark Industry rifles, these players being able to put that fast first shot accuracy and the high damage rates on it, incredibly efficient coming out there. But right now, Plumberton, one of the stronger spots on the map for getting quick and efficient metal, but also need to be careful of the ambushes as Sammy actually just walks out into the open and hits him in the face with the AR. Not really an ambush, instead just slowly lists to the left, but he's going to get the advantage there. But now looking for a little bit of a Clay Classic, instead just going to yoink away, say my chug splashes now. However, the chase is on, breaking the builds and being a little bit of efficient here. And that's the one thing when you're on these scavenger routes, if somebody's able to get in and kind of interrupt it, it can be so incredibly painful. We see Richard Slat trying to use the bouncer to disengage but get picked out of the sky. That's Kaijui being able to pick that one up, and right now some good pressure coming here by Dennis, Sammy, and Kaijui.
And this is the kind of like the pressure that I'm seeing on the bottom of the board right now. Sammy, Kajui, Dennis are sitting in 22nd place. Down goes Sammy, down goes Dennis. These engagements, yes, you set the ambush. Yes, you're trying to get that Elin point. That is important just to kind of get those storm tags in as well. But look, it could cost you in the long run. The overall picture, that could be detrimental, and is already this trio gets eliminated right there. They had the opening blow in the engagement, unable to capitalize on it. And out they go, ending of game 2 for them. But just going to give you guys and gals and the folks out there an overall look at the leaderboard. Flick and Nas Thomas is sitting in first place. Vidil, Fasroki, Kyle is second. Vidil, Vettel, iDrop, and Stursix in third. Mongrel, Mitro, Tayson in fourth. Mastro, Styler, and Enzar in fifth. Casper says Zini and Flixie in sixth. Benji, Savage, Lechy in seventh. Legend, Cartoon, Flory in eighth. So that is our top 8 right now. And Badil and Kyle and Fasroki are sitting in second place, looking really strong. And I've been seeing, oh my goodness, Savage? What are you doing way out here, my friend? They're catching someone on a slow rotation here, Sundown.
And again, generally we've seen them push farther north, but these fights have been their doom time and time again, leaving Doom's domain and not able to resolve them quickly. And Fastroki, Vidil, and Kylie have no problem going box to box with the best in the region, and Fastroki is going to be able to find 2 eliminations there. Lechy is just going to try and disengage. Now walking back forward, you can see kind of the triangles coming through to try and get some pressure on here. He knows if he's able to clean up the elimination onto Fastroki, he can get the cards and kind of disengage, but until then, any kind of reboot effort is going to be thwarted by this 1v2, so it's going to come down to a key 1v1 in the storm. Who's better right now, Lechy or Ovation Fastroki? As Fastroki finds it around the backside, and Lechy, hello? Are you lost? Did you forget you were fighting a 1v1? What's going on there? As Kylie will take over, but both the reboots will go to Fastroki. All 3 eliminations going to him as well. The hero on the day there, as the reboot will be coming out.
Man, he totally got rinsed right then and there, hung out to dry. Fasroki with the coach out here riding the storm. And that was a battle between second place and 7th place right then and there. And to kind of build to the storyline, another slow start for a Benji, Savage, and Lechy. And man, how many slow starts can you kind of withstand? Can you weather before you know it? That slow start could cost you and not making it into the grand finals. But a team that has not been on a slow start is Tayson, Mitro, and Mongrel. And it looked like they got some visitors here out in their power POI. And they're going to have to take care of some business as Sanji Fichi gets caught right then and there with a nice crash pad play from Tayson.
Yeah, the diagonal crash pad straight into the box. So hard to defend against that when it's vertical. And a nice, really nice hipfire spray there coming out from Tayson. I know that's the one thing that always impresses me so much about these competitive players, when they just flip on over to kind of their ARs and it feels like, oh, it's just like, man, my hipfires would never hit from that distance. And these guys just always hitting the same walls, pressuring the same people. It's just so easy for them.
Is someone a dire wolf out there? Like that wolf costume always gets me going. It's one of the really cool ones that I remember early in the season, but it just shows you, like, when I see a pro team kind of rocking these quote unquote meme outfits, they tend to, they're not afraid to put on some style. And I love that because, Fortnite, you got some awesome outfits. I know all these comp players like to rock the ones that have a slender silhouette so they could be able to do the damage. So someone out here like this trio is Fixie, Zini, and Casper say they're doing really well. They're kind of slowed down their slide here. 6th place, Sundown.
Yeah, and again, we've talked about how they're based on those top finishes, but being able to get into another top 5 placement, starting the day out there, gives me a little bit more hope for them. If they'd kind of started this day out and hit on the same slide they had yesterday, I think it would have been really hard for them to kind of gather themselves mentally, but you can already see not necessarily having a ton of excess utility, both in terms of builds and the shields, and even ammunition. Like, they're not going to really be able to burn through and pressure a ton of players here, and they have a decently long rotation as we're pulling down to the south and a little bit west again here.
Just to give you an idea at the leaderboard as well, the top 5 are essentially in the triple digits. 6, 7, and 8 are now in striking distance with each other. To go a little bit further down, 9, 10, 11 are within striking distance to get in that top 8. Of course, the ones from 9th through 16th, if they don't make it into the top 8, the ride's not over. They have one opportunity to get in, and that is through the wild card. That will happen right before Grands, and that's going to be an amazing thing. I labeled this heat as the nightmare before Grands, and for Flick and Nos and Thomas, and for iDrop, Stursix, and Vettel as well, to perform really well against Mongrel and Lecce when everyone thought that they would walk away as the 1 and 2 in this heat, that's impressive, Sundown. Impressive.
I mean, it felt like they were able to do that week in and week out in the third round qualifier as well. It's just all about them putting together a complete performance. But one thing, again, we kind of talked about as a viewer, it's like, what do you care about? Well, the line for 8th right now is 84 points. The line for 16th is 49 points. So again, we'll let you know kind of where those teams are and who's competing in terms of that combination of the two. But the teams are just generally looking to be in one of those two categories. You want the top 8. The top 8 is the guaranteed ticket to the dance, whereas 9 to 16th is like that extra lifeline. Just that one more shot, that lottery ticket to get in, where you'll be one of 32 teams battling to walk away with only the victory royale. But right now, hopping on board with our second-ranked team here, Fastroki, Vadil, and Kylie. We saw Fastroki effectively 1v3. Benji, Fishy, Savage, and Lecce early on got the reboots, and now heading into zone. However, they know there is a team at their back.
One of my favorite things that, Monster D-Face would say is that they essentially absorb that team's power. They take their loot, they take their power weapons, and you kind of see them like they're amplified a little bit. I really, interviewing pro players, X-Splash, in the DreamHack stage, they kind of talk about seeing big names in the lobby, seeing big names in the elim feed, and knowing that you took out a big name. And I feel like that momentum Vidil has had, that confidence, just kind of puts them up on a different pedestal. And it kind of makes the edits cleaner, it makes the shots cleaner, it makes everything better. And Vidil right now in Fastroki already with 3 elims, and they absorb Benji Lecce here in this match. So I think that's going to power their in to the end game, Sundown.
Yo, honestly, right now, Vadil, Fastroki, and Kylie they're playing with some swagger.
Oh, yeah.
They got a little bit of pep in their step. They're going,
Max.
They know they're on the front rotation. And after that little 3-piece, it's like you talk about it. You kind of get that little bump. It's like, wait, I just eliminated those 3? It's like, wait, yeah, I just eliminated those 3. Yeah, absolutely, I did. Anytime I'm playing competitive games, it's not fun to have to face off against the best. But you're playing in a tournament. You're playing for a qualification for money. You're playing to be the absolute best in Europe. So if you want that title, you have to beat everyone. You have to beat the 99th best player. You have to beat the second best player if you want to be number 1. So at the end of the day, you have to walk with a little bit of that confidence. You have to be willing to take and execute in those opportunities when they're given to you. And right now, side by side, we have a battle of 2 top 8 teams as Tacent, Mongo, and Micho are boxed up right next to Stursix, Vettel, and iDrop. And they get ramped over right away. That's Blaster, Alpha, and Nikov. So 3 teams all in relatively contention on top of each other here.
And the one that you have to keep an eye on in this kind of neighboring trio is Blaster, Nikov, and Alpha, because they're sitting in 16th. So they want to get to top 8. They want to avoid wild card. But so far they're in the wild card. We're taking a look at the mini map. This is going to be, wow, 50 aquatic, 50 landmass, a lot of swamp in between. It's going to get muddy. We're talking about the mucky muck of zones here down south. It's going to be so interesting to see who overcomes. It's going to be, the reason why it's going to be messy, it's not going to be a clean, pure Fortnite, because some builds will be eaten up if it goes over water. But in terms of high ground, we already saw a nice video package from Reese. High ground is prioritized by the greatest of teams of trios like Zayt, Stretch, and Saf. We're seeing here in round zone 3, they kind of prep it. So far, none of these trios in the EU region are going for height. They usually kind of go for it at 4th and 5th, Sundown.
Yeah, you can generally see it's the 4th zone you'll pull towards kind of the outside. Otherwise, we talk about wanting to head central and the teams heading as central as possible during zones 1 through 3. Well, we're at this 3rd zone closing right now. So once the 4th zone is revealed, players will generally pack in towards the outside, hoping to draw the half in, half out. That's when the safe zone is half inside and half outside of where the current safe zone is. It's the first one before we get our moving circles, which kind of signifies the end game. So right now, everyone's kind of crowding in towards the outside. That's why we saw the stack of so many players. And then the second that 4th zone gets revealed, you'll see most people opt to either kind of make a quick little pressure and then run away towards the side. As we see here, Tayson gets caught completely unaware there. No teammates being able to help him as they spray through utilizing the burst to be able to get onto him, and 4 clean shots will take him down. Now, the question is, can Mitro and Mongrel execute the pickup right now? Shots are going through right now. That build is not there. As you see, a Shockwave will come out for that disengage, so good pressure there from Vettel, iDrop, and Stursix to force them away. One of Mitro's 5 Shockwaves are going to be used there to kind of get the disengage out, as Mongrel is now going to leave as well, but no conversion there, so it seems like they were able to at least get him out.
Vettel, Stursix, and iDrop Setting are fighting as one. Yes, iDrop is the known name of this trio, playing with Mr. Savage, but he had some level of success. But Vettel and Stursix are coming up on their own. They have 4 FNCS heats and 2 FNCS weekly qualifiers before all this said and done. They had really strong performances in the FNCS trio qualifiers. This performance is really standing out. And to mention, they are kind of like going in with 1 game disadvantage because they didn't all connect for one of these games here yesterday in day 1. So to see their consistent performance, I would say they are kind of like a stronger trio of Casper, Say, Zini, and Fixie, considering that they've been doing it consistently, but they get the elims to kind of match with their placement points, and those kind of happy marriage between the two will get you a strong showing on leaderboard, and that's why they're in the top 3. But let's take a look at who is kind of putting themselves in a strong position for height. You see Ovations Trio and Co sitting right there with a strong one. They're kind of gambling that circle will go their way. Luca as well, gambling that they're going to go their way. And you're seeing Pinke Void out in the distance, gambling is going to go their way. This is the kind of gambles that you're going to have to take. And when you have pool zone or prioritize zone, you're going to have to capitalize on the investment, as Flick, Anas, and Thomas, as the entire Fortnite fam is truly invested in this trio as being one of the best in the EU region.
And I mean, one of the best and one of the most exciting to watch, just the clutch potential that's coming out of Thomas, and also Anas in a lot of these circumstances have made just a highlight reel of plays for this trio to come out. And right now you can see already sitting on 3 eliminations, and something they do incredibly well is give themselves opportunities to find these picks. And while it is end up a little bit risky, and for some reason it just always seems to be Flick who ends up biting the bullet for the other two, but it enables them to kind of have those big moments, but also at the cost of 1 or 2 games. You're going to see what happened in game number 1, where Thomas is able to get maybe 1 or 2 eliminations, 1 or 2 extra placement points, but that's it. However, you'd rather have those extra 4 or 5 points going through there than not at all. As you can see them beginning to build up, utilizing the hard mats, which to me indicates zone pulled at least relatively close to them, and it pulled directly on top of our top trio. And hey, sometimes you're a gambling man and you get those 7s and they roll, and when they roll, you just let them keep rolling. They go straight up with the hard mats. They don't have a ton of excess shockwaves, but you can see already they're trying to set up their playmakers for the opportunity, getting a little bit of extra ammo onto Anas, getting a little bit of extra heals onto Thomas HD, so if they need to make plays, they can. As you see, Tayson and Mitro enacting some revenge there, picking up, I believe that's Maestro going down.
You're seeing right here, this is where you're going to see the different styles of play clash. Mongrel and Mitro, they'd love to contest for height as an Elin from Anas. I think that was a sniper. I'm hearing Thomas popping off the snipe. Thomas actually getting some hits. Anas getting that Elin with the good old-fashioned AR, as he's showing the world that's so important to practice the AR as well. And look at it, textbook. Now they just get the slim pickings here and finish off anybody that's on that storm line. Finishing anybody off that's on the in shambles at the moment, as Martin gets knocked as well. 3 points are kind of filtering right to them, and no pressure. No one's trying to bring them down. They build with hard mats. They have everything in full control. And so far, all they have to do, ladies and gentlemen, folks, is just bring everybody down. Don't let anybody come up there. Don't let anyone grab the ankles, because you know how it is in a scary scene. You know, so monster could pull them down easily. So just keep everybody in the down below, and you'll be vibing up top.
Yeah, but they need to be aware. We saw early on with Mitro and Mongrel, they had so many shockwaves, and right off of the bat, 6 zone pulls, not even a second hesitation. They use the bounces and they go up for height, but you see the shockwaves on the other side, players trying to set up and reconnect. However, they well establish it, so a good transition despite not pulling zone there, not having to use anything more than a bouncer and more of their hard mats. However, I will note that's going to make it more difficult for them to control high ground later on into the game, making it more vulnerable for those late shockwave plays. But here comes shockwave bouncer up onto high ground, and it's Mexi who's going to get just picked out of the air there. That's Thomas HD. Again, we talk about his accuracy, and if you're Mexi, that hurts even more because we have 18 trios remaining. The next one to drop will signify the start of the placement points, and we're into the end game as the utility horde sounds, the tarps come out, and here we go, Sancho.
Here we go. You're seeing the strong webbing height right now. All the connecting is doing really well, and you're going to see a textbook finish from height. But yes, Sundown is correct. All this is about maintaining as much as possible. And already looking at the build count, Anas is kind of low. He does have the shockwaves. That is going to be the story for height. Can they hold on? Can they maintain? Oh my goodness, someone sneaks up and hits Anas for a brief moment, cracks him in the back. He has to watch out as Vettel goes down in the feed to Vidil. Vidil has been cooking up a storm this entire day, and Anas has got to go back. Anas with a shockwave, and bang! With the shotgun blast. And Nas, those are the kind of clutch moments, but they lose Flick. So it's all up to Thomas and Anas here, and that's going to be so difficult, Sundown, to hold height as a duo.
I mean, you say it's so difficult, but we've talked about it time and time again. Poor Flick. It always seems to be Flick, but he's the sacrificial lamb. He's the one who's able to lift them up and prevent the Ovation Trio from going up. But however, as we talked about it, now that it is a duo up on height, you still see Tayson, Mitro, and Mongo in that elimination feed on the left-hand side. So beware of the shockwaves for them going up for a later take. Still only 48 builds on Anas, and Thomas is playing up. We'll need to see where the ace zone comes from as they're the first shockwave challenge comes through. However, the height difference is being enough as continually we keep seeing Mongrel and Tayson picking up Elim after Elim. But right now, Anas and Thomas just staying well above and out of range. Our top trio showing why they're on top. But see, right on second height, that's where the play is going to come from, Sancho.
Absolutely. Second height is the one that could only really do some danger on that. And you see Mongrel and Tayson with a nice tarp. And Anas and Thomas are really running low. Keep an eye on that. We'll keep an eye on the feed to see if Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson could overcome. But now we're going down to the lower, the bottom layer, the low ground. We're seeing a trio really working, doing well. Kind of take a look here with 4 E-limbs. A trio on the low ground is so dangerous because they could rack up points, and we have been seeing they don't exhaust a lot of materials when it comes to overtaking height. It's just a matter of keeping your head on a swivel. As we see Monster Muncher get one right then and there on the bottom left of your screen. Trio's looking strong. They're looking good. They're working together. Boyd picks up an Elim in the feed. This is a nice opportunity to at least move up the leaderboard in the tournament, Sundown.
Yeah, and you can see Mitro also getting taken out there as we're on board with the low ground team, just utilizing basically the siphon mats and nothing more. They're so low on materials, so low on resources, going to use the crash pad, trying to send somebody down to their level, and they're going to start finding elims on the backside of the zone. But because they're out in the zone, they're not going to be able to capitalize and get the much needed resources. They're going to keep dropping players down, and they're going to be the beneficiaries of the fact that they are hip to hip and just finding the elims they need. That's another huge knock coming through there, and already 5 eliminations onto Monster so far. Void sitting on 3 as Pinky, as I drop, just get double edited down. But Thomas and Anas have still just been riding out the single tarps on height. Versa uses the shockwave to try and go up, but sends himself out into zone. The miss execution gonna spell his doom, and it's the trio hip to hip in zone. It's going to be a 3v2 at the end of the day. Anas, though, finds Monster. That's going to be one. Void turns it around, and Void now, can he close it out and take the victory royale? Swaps is going to be looking for it, and it's going to come off to a heal off here, Sancho, who has the white HP, as now Swaps is hunting for Void. Can he find him? Void has to know. He hears the sound. Can he just run away? And he does. Void, Monster, and Pinke on the back of 10 eliminations, 35 points, their first on the day, get the victory royale here in match number 2, aka match 8.